Hey, what's up, guys? I'm doing a lure review today. This is on the KVD Squarebill. Now, both of these are the silent models of the 2.5. Now, I do have two of the 1.5s. They're both on rods at the moment, but you know, I love both of them. Now I like this 2.5 a little bit better. The size wise, it really seems to get the fish going. Now I live in northern PA. Maybe that has something to do with it, but you know, this is a great lure. I love it. They cast extremely well. That's another thing that is great about these guys. You can bomb these out a mile. Now I got two colors here. This one is the citrus shad. Now I've used this one a couple times on the Finger Lakes up in New York, and whenever they're on a crankbait bite, a lot of times they like the jerk baits and stuff like that, but whenever they're on a crankbait bite, they really like the shad or looking lures, such as this crank and wrap right here. Now normally whenever I'm up there, I'm not gonna lie, I have that crank and wrap on my rod, and not the KVD, just because I know they love that lure, the action, and the look of it. But whenever they are on it, they really like this. This isn't too far out of the realm for a really clear water lake. You can still catch fish on it. It's not like it's a chartreuse, a really heavy chartreuse, or the kind of like the chartreuse with the black back. So you know, definitely you can still use these in the clear water. Now where I live, they personally go after this kind of like the brim or perch color a lot more. Now that's mainly because a lot of lakes around me, they don't have shad in them. They just have bluegill, panfish, perch, stuff like that. And that's one reason why the bass love these brown colors where I am. But with majority of lakes that have shad and other prey fish like that, you know, you're gonna want to use one of these. Now the 1.5 I have on one of my rods is the pearl white color. Really good color, works in a lot of places, and you know, works really well for any of the lakes that have shad. I do want to get a 2.5 in that same color. Now they do have a 2.5 in this color with like the blue head. That's the bluegill color. I really want to get one of them too. I actually have one on the way, and I want to get a couple of the sexy shads and stuff like that, because they work just about everywhere as well. But this is what I got at the moment. So like I said, these are both the 2.5s. They run 3 to 5 feet deep, and you know, that's one tip I have for you guys. I always write the depth that the lure goes somewhere on the lure, either the bill or right back here in really small numbers. Now the 2.5s, all these KVDs, I really don't need to. I know how deep they go, 3 to 5 feet, but some of the others, such as like these bombers right here, you know, it's nice to know how deep they actually go, and whenever it gets into the deep diving crankbaits, such as like a DT20. Now, one thing I love about the Rapalas or like the 6XDs is you know how deep they're gonna go, they say, but some of the other ones they don't, so that's a tip. Anyways, back to this. They have really decent hooks on them. Not saying they're the best by any means, but they have really decent hooks on them. I would not change out the hooks if you are just a weekend warrior angler, or you know, you don't have the money for it, or you know, stuff like that. I wouldn't change the hook out until they actually bend. On these KVs, I have not had a hook bend out yet. So granted, I have not hooked into a 6-7 pounder. You know, I've caught like a 4-pounder with this guy. And you know, the hooks are in good shape, and I checked them afterwards. I was really surprised. These ones I believe are like a black nickel heat treated stuff. So you know, to actually, you know, need to change them, I don't think you need to change them unless you are a tournament fisherman or anything like that. So that's just my take on it. Now you see this one is a little bit of a clear. It's almost like a ghost. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but you can see through it. And I really like that. Now one thing I love about these 2.5s, that the 1.5s are kind of hard to do. These ones will reel in, and their action seems to be a little bit slower than the 1.5s, which makes sense. Bigger fish, it's gonna you know, like a bigger bait fish, it's gonna swim a little bit slower, and the action's gonna kind of look a little bit slower than a 1.5. But these ones I have actually been able to use as a wake bait as well. You know, if you cast it out there really far, you know, it's going to be a little bit harder. You know, you're going to have to hold up the rod really high and reel it really, really slow. But once it gets into, you know, the 100 to 75 feet away from you, you can actually reel it a little bit faster, keep your reel up a little bit higher, or a little bit lower, and you can still use it as a wake bait. You can use it as where the back is still kind of above the surface and it's going, or it's down maybe 2-3 inches and you are getting that wake. So and I've caught a couple fish this way with that, with this one, with being close to beaver dams and stuff like that. Obviously you don't want the lure to be going underneath the beaver dam too much. You're gonna get them hung up, you're gonna lose them. But I've noticed on the outside of some beaver dams you can actually use this as a wake bait, kind of above, hitting some sticks from here to there, and you know, you can get a lot of fish that way, especially in the fall and especially in the springtime, whenever they're all kind of congregated in one area and they're all held close to structure. But you know, now this brown color, I've heard the brim color, you know, whatever. I've heard that other places in the country it works very well in the springtime and late in the fall. I've had it work very well for me throughout the entire year. Again, like I said, I live in northern PA, so I'm not sure if that has anything to do with it. But you know, that could. And the lakes around me do not have a lot of shad. They have a lot of a lot of panfish, a lot of bluegills, stuff like that. Before I forget, guys, the rod I throw this on is a 7-foot medium casting with a fast action tip. Now the reason why I got a fast action tip instead of a moderate or a mod fast was because it's an all-around great rod. I can use it for many things, such as spinnerbait, chatterbait, squarebills, deep diving crankbaits. I just wanted to get an all-around great crankbait rod that I could use for multiple other things. Now I do have a another rod, so I'm going to have 2 crankbait rods, and I have another rod that's actually going to be on the way shortly, and it is a 7'3" number 8 factory blackout rod. It is a medium moderate rod, so with a medium power and moderate action, that I'm going to be throwing a little bit smaller crankbaits, probably the 1.5s on them, jerk baits. I really wanted to get a jerk bait rod too, but I found myself changing these lures so often with the with the 4 rods that I have, changing the lures so often on my crankbait rod that I wanted to get another one, so that I could have 2 options available for whenever I'm fishing. That way I can have a lipless and, you know, and like a squarebill on at the same time, or what's even better, a jerk bait and a crankbait. That way I'm not changing around. So, and I'm also throwing that on a 12-pound fluorocarbon. I'm gonna have 10-pound on the jerk bait crankbait rod, and it's a 6:4 to 1 gear ratio reel. So. But anyways, that's my lure review. These ones I really like them. And like I said, I like the 2.5 a little bit better than the 1.5. I like throwing out those larger baits, and you still catch. It seems to me you still catch about the same fish really with them. You know how fish will go after things almost the same size as it. So, but anyways, there you go. Hit like button, subscribe please. Thank you.